the winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her.
She refused to keep her fat mouth shut. It really does seem to me that this is like a 19-year-old's version of feminism. Their star, Rachel Zegler, was so unlikable.
She's now bragging about the success of Snow White, which is a movie that's going to lose hundreds of millions of dollars, and mainly because of her and because nobody wanted to support her.
They've been in a full meltdown about this girl for a couple of years now, and how they had her tweet out like a little, "Yay, Snow White, can't wait, so excited, I love to play her."
After months of backlash, on-set drama, and a social media storm that nearly torpedoed Disney's most iconic fairy tale remake, Rachel Zegler has finally done what fans and critics alike never expected. She apologized. But is it too little, too late?
People have real problems and no one gives a shit if she got paid for 17 instead of 18 on her multi-million-dollar salary, which is not calculated by the hour.
Before we dive into how things started unraveling, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you're into deep dives like this. Just facts, receipts, and a bit of chaos. Trust me, you're gonna want to see how this one ends.
You had Rachel Zegler on the docket too. I think actresses should be quiet. I understand
She's
why.
such an
From her very first comments about Snow White, Rachel Zegler painted herself into a corner, calling the 1937 classic scary, mocking the original themes, and hinting she had no interest in portraying the damsel in distress archetype.
And she did it and got like millions of views, and they were like, "Good job, Rachel." And then she, like minutes later, followed it up with, "And never forget, free Palestine." This is just like a few months after 10/7.
Zegler didn't just upset a few die-hard Disney fans, she kicked the hornet's nest, and the sting hasn't stopped since. What was meant to be a modern twist on a timeless tale turned into a PR nightmare that not even Disney's billion-dollar machine could spin. And now, Zegler's public apology has gone viral, but the reactions are mixed, to say the least.
For every one of the 18 hours I am in the Snow White dress, I expect to get paid. If it's 18 hours, I want 18 hours of pay. I'm sure she got underpaid as a Disney lead actress or as a...
Her statement acknowledged the backlash and claimed she had deep respect for the original movie, but let's be honest, most people didn't buy it. It reeked of damage control more than genuine remorse, and considering the chaos behind the scenes, you can't blame the skeptics.
Yeah, we had more dwarfs than we did viewers in most of these theaters. And as you know, there were no dwarfs other than some CGI weird generated version of them. It's the old, it truly is go woke, go broke.
Let's rewind for a second. Zegler's comments about the original film weren't just flippant, they were dismissive. She made it clear she didn't care for the 1937 version, or the idea that Snow White might actually fall in love, or God forbid be saved by a man.
So she just encapsulates everything that most of us cannot stand about modern day feminism and the left in general.
In a time where Hollywood's obsession with strong female leads often overrides character nuance, Zegler doubled down on turning the fairy tale princess into a modern-day political statement. And that's when things really went off the rails.
You cannot both be a leader as a female and fall in love and be rescued by a prince. Like, that's incongruous bullshit. That's only the left's version of what it means to be a strong woman or female empowerment.
Reports started leaking that Disney was in full crisis mode. Internal emails, re-edits, and 3 separate rounds of reshoots later, Snow White had mutated into a Frankenstein's monster of conflicting visions.
This weird feminist thing where her heroine cannot be in love or be saved by a man, the prince, that she's more focused on becoming the leader she was meant to be, as if women in modern day America must make that choice. You cannot both be a leader as a female.
Greta Gerwig, who helped write the screenplay, allegedly struggled to balance studio demands with creative coherence. Then came the infamous clash with Gal Gadot. On paper, having Zegler and Gadot share the screen should have been magic. But in reality, the tension between the two reportedly derailed filming.
Where Steven Spielberg and co. were demanding that she prove how Latina she really is, since her name doesn't sound Latina, and she was angrily saying, "Did I have to bring in my little abuelita for you to believe that I was Latina?"
Their heated disagreements over artistic choices made it nearly impossible to shoot key scenes, especially one intense third-act confrontation that had to be reworked over 25 times before the crew gave up entirely. According to insiders, Zegler was furious about Gadot improvising darker, more villainous lines, something the director actually liked. But Zegler thought it stole focus from her character. And if you believe the leaks, that argument grew so volatile that Disney eventually scrapped the entire sequence from the final cut.
Don't alienate half of the country when you're putting out a product meant to appeal to all. It's the Michael Jordan Republicans buy sneakers too.
Now pause and think about that. Imagine spending millions of dollars reshooting a pivotal climax, only to delete it entirely because your lead actors couldn't stand each other. That's not just messy, it's catastrophic. It didn't help that Zegler was caught up in a series of controversies outside the film too. From social justice rants to political posts like Free Palestine that followed Disney-branded tweets, her public image was becoming too hot to handle.
So, I mean, this woman has clicked every box. And just for cherry on top at the end, she gave an interview last week talking about how they were basically a bunch of white supremacists on the set of West Side Story.
Combine that with an already skeptical fan base, and you've got the recipe for a full-blown boycott. And Disney knew it. That's why the UK premiere was abruptly cancelled. No red carpet, no interviews, nothing that could risk putting Zegler and Gadot in the same room where a reporter might ask the wrong question.
That's her thanks to Steven Spielberg, who discovered her and made her. So she's an ingrate, she's annoying, and I think she's probably two and done.
Even more telling, Gal Gadot reportedly refused to do joint press with Zegler altogether. At this point, Zegler's apology felt less like a revelation and more like a PR Hail Mary. And even then, it might have come too late. For many fans, especially those who cherished the original Snow White, her earlier remarks weren't just tone-deaf, they were insulting.
And if she hadn't have opened her mouth, I think that this movie might have done well. They might have just been able to ride on the hopium of the movie and some well-cut trailers, and people would have paid to go see it. And then it would have fallen off when people knew it was garbage.
People felt she didn't respect the story, the legacy, or the audience. So when she suddenly came out saying she respects the original film and that she loved being a part of it, a lot of people rolled their eyes. Where was that energy months ago? Now some would argue that Rachel is young, learning, and deserves some grace. Fair point, but Hollywood isn't forgiving when it comes to money, and Snow White is on track to lose a lot of it. Some estimates say hundreds of millions of dollars might be flushed because of the controversy alone. And if that happens, don't be surprised if Zegler's future projects start drying up. Sources say Disney had planned multiple follow-ups and spin-offs built around her Snow White. That's all likely shelved now. What's even more tragic, the one sequence Zegler apparently gave her best performance in, the fortress scene that tackled Snow White's inner strength and morality, got cut. That moment could have reshaped how audiences viewed her version of the character, but now we'll never see it. To add insult to injury, Zegler is rumored to have lashed out during another interview about her time on West Side Story, accusing the crew of questioning her Latina identity. "Did I have to bring my little abuelita to prove I was Latina?" she allegedly snapped. Talk about burning bridges, Spielberg himself gave her that role. At this point, Zegler has racked up more controversy than screen time. And that's a major red flag for any studio considering casting her in the future. Sure, her talent is undeniable. She's a powerhouse on screen. But Hollywood needs more than just talent, it needs bankable, cooperative stars. People who help sell the movie, not sink it before it hits theaters. Now here's the kicker. Snow White isn't even out yet. And somehow it already feels like the most chaotic Disney release in years. The film has been delayed, reshot, re-edited, and reimagined so many times that no one knows what the final version will even look like. Will it lean into modern themes and alienate classic fans, or will it try to balance old and new, hoping to win over both sides? We don't know. But here's what we do know, Rachel Zegler's apology isn't erasing the damage done. Not to the film, not to her image, and not to Disney's reputation. In fact, since the movie Flop a Tay, Zegler's is the first one who is blamed. Fair or not, that's how the industry works. And let's not forget the real lesson here. When you take on an iconic role, especially in something as culturally embedded as Snow White, you don't get to rewrite history without consequences. Fans expect a certain reverence, a certain magic, and when they feel that's missing, they will push back. Rachel Zegler's apology may be sincere, or it may just be a carefully worded strategy to salvage a sinking ship. Either way, it's part of a much bigger story, one that includes creative clashes, studio panic, fan backlash, and a live-action remake that may never live up to its legendary origins. So what do you think? Was Rachel Zegler's apology genuine or just PR spin? And can Snow White still be saved, or is the fairy tale officially cursed? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you liked this breakdown, smash that like button and subscribe. We've got more wild Hollywood drama coming your way every week. No fluff, just facts, receipts, and a bit of chaos. See you in the next one.